Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
You's a clown, that's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? You tough? Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh? Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you said on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.
Hello, everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. I apologize for the lighting, and hopefully the internet acts a little bit better than it's been acting. But I have my boots on the ground on this Bishop Lamor Whitehead case. This is how much I love you guys. I'm tired. This case it's just been, if I was not here though, I would not believe some of the things that I have heard and what's being alleged. So as you guys come in, please make sure you hit that like button. I'm not even going to beg y'all today for this like and subscribe, because I know that all of you people that have been asking me, what's going on with Whitehead? When you going to talk about Whitehead? I could be talking about the man around the corner, and it could be very serious. And then somebody in that chat is going to say, what's up with Whitehead? Can you tell me what's going on with Whitehead? And so now you guys are getting, it's been the trial started last Monday. It's going tomorrow, but it's probably not going to end tomorrow. So it'll probably end sometime next week. And now y'all getting 2 weeks worth of Whitehead. Okay. My next few videos is going to be about Whitehead. So you guys make sure you let Lottie Dottie and everybody know that your girl, the Law Intellect, is talking about Bishop Lamor Whitehead. So all of the ones that have been DMing me, sending me 5,000 documents like I didn't see them already, tell them we are talking about this trial. Now, this is my second video. I did one last week around this time where I just did I combined the days that I was there, because again, it's exhausting. I usually want to just come back and go lay down, because it starts at in or around between 9:30 and 10 in the morning. And then you have lunch at around 1 o'clock to 2. And then from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we go. So it's like sitting there 7 hours sometimes to do this trial. And it's very, very, very exhausting. I see you guys. Thank you, Terry, so much for the Cash App. I appreciate the love. Because your girl, I'm yet holding on. It's been taking everything in me not to just turn around and take myself back home. But I feel like I'm going to miss something. And today is one of the reasons why I am here. So we're going to get into some things. Thank you, Cynthia, so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. And Yep. We went in on members only yesterday, because I go on members only, and I know some people had a little toot about it, but I go on members only to discuss like things that aren't necessarily directly I guess it's related to the trial, but it's outside activity, because again, you do have jurors out here. I'm assuming don't nobody know who I am, but I'm still going to respect that. And so I'm just going to report basically what's in the trial. You guys can take it how you want to take it. Then when it's all over, maybe I give my opinion on what I think. But some of my facial expressions probably give it away. But for now, I'm just going to report. So yesterday we started out where there was no court on Monday. So yesterday we started, I'm just going to get right into it because it's a lot, especially to get to today. But I do want to make sure that I do touch on what happened yesterday. Yesterday, myself and those that know Really B, she actually came up there as well. Eves Andre, who is the campaign worker who recently got a judgment against Whitehead accusing him of stiffing him out of his campaign money. He was there yesterday with his homeboy. It was just a little reunion over there. And so, some things that went on. If you want to hear about that, then you have to go to the members only. But Rashid Anderson, who is the son of Pauline Anderson, that's where we stopped last week. I went over the indictment on what's being accused. So I'm going to do a really, really quick recap. So Pauline Anderson is alleging that she gave Whitehead $90,000 to buy her a home. Now, this home was going to be an investment type home. If you guys watched cable with the flipper uppers and fixer uppers and all that stuff, that's supposed to be the type of home that it was. Well, however this deal was orchestrated, I don't know. It's like Pauline had, all we know is there was definitely $90,000 that was written out from her. It went from Pauline's retirement account to her personal account. And then a money order for $90,000 went out to Whitehead. We don't really know what happened to this $90,000. However, there was cross-examination on Rashid Anderson, who is actually the son of Pauline, who had the relationship with Whitehead. So there were several text messages. He was probably on there the longest. He was on there longer than Pauline Anderson because you had to establish, I guess, how Whitehead even got into connection with Pauline Anderson. So when I came in yesterday, I missed a little bit of it. But for the most part, this was the cross-examination. And Whitehead's attorney, they did decent. I'm going to give props where it's due. I think that they did decent on the cross-examination. A lot of the stuff, and he has Don Florio that we've seen that's been behind him on a lot of press conferences and whatnot. But what they were trying to basically establish, and you can tell with some of the question, was Rashid testified that I think in 2013, he actually did have some type of dealings with real estate, but he only did this as he testified that he did rental properties, right? So he was a manager, worked in a real estate company, but he only did real estate rentals or something. So he didn't know how to buy, sell, and all of that. So basically, Whitehead's attorney was trying to establish you weren't oblivious to how this thing works. You weren't oblivious to how it works when it comes to buying properties and all of that. Now, Rashid Anderson had a loan. And he got a loan. What happened was he contacted, this is a testimony, he contacted Whitehead and told Whitehead he wanted to start some type of a restaurant. Whitehead said, nah, bro. Because remember, Rashid was a member of his church. He was like an elder. He was a junior pastor or a minister or something, because it was mixed words on whether he was a pastor or a minister. And then he eventually became an elder. So he said after a couple of weeks, he became a junior pastor. And I guess after a couple of months, he became an elder in the church. And so he would call Whitehead to try to he don't have a dad. He don't really have a mentor, a father figure. So this is what Whitehead was to him. So he calls Whitehead yo, I want to open up this restaurant. And Whitehead told him, no, bro, you should get a house. That's what you should do. You should get a house. So Rashid went through this whole process of getting a house. And they showed all the text messages, like I told you in the last video, of this whole process of getting this house. And every step of the way, literally every step of the way, before he got an appraisal, before he picked whatever it was, he contacted Whitehead. So Rashid, for some reason, the testimony was he made $70,000. However, he wanted a $524,000 house. So of course he wasn't pre-approved for that based on his income. He was only pre-approved to get a $250,000 house. So according to him, Whitehead gave him the bright idea, hey, how about you get your mom to go ahead and co-sign? So at first, because Pauline Anderson wanted to get her own mortgage, she was like, no, I'm not going to do it. She was skeptical because she didn't want it to affect her getting a mortgage. So somehow Whitehead, I guess, talked to her for Rashid and it was all good. And so she co-signed. So he has this $500-something house and he has it to this day. So she co-signed. Now, what I wasn't clear about is whether it was really a co-signing or a co-borrowing. So any real estate people probably could clarify that for me. But it sounded more like, so the cross-examination that they started out, they being the defense attorneys, Whitehead's attorney, they were questioning them on, essentially, you got an FHA loan, right? And in the FHA loan, you have to be in order to be a borrower and get an FHA loan, you have to be on the property. So did you tell your mom she owns the house? Did you tell her that her name is on the deed? Did you tell her this and that? Because they had to use her income. They didn't just use like, oh, we're going to make sure for credit purposes that, everything's on the up and up. So a lot of the cross-examination was you had her signing this document and you basically knew that she was supposed to be a resident because this was an FHA loan and you have to be a resident to get an FHA loan as a first-time buyer. So they were kind of coming at him like that. Like, did you tell your mom that she had to be on the deed? Did you tell her mom that because she's a first-time buyer that she can't get an FHA loan herself? So it was a lot of cross-examination based on that. So he basically was saying he wasn't sure. It was a lot of papers. He wasn't really sure what the paperwork said. He didn't think his mama had to be on the loan. He disagreed that she couldn't get her own FHA loan. He said that from his understanding of how it went, he learned mortgages and all of that basically through Whitehead. And I guess he went to, I don't know if he went to Whitehead's real estate class, but I know they went through this whole process of getting his credit together. So literally the attorney spent probably 2 hours cross-examining him about his loan. It was a bit excessive to me, but I kind of get the little, the point they were trying to make. So then they go on and they're like, they were getting into cross-examination where it seemed like Rashid put his needs before his mom's. So it was like, you knew she wanted a house, but you still made sure that she signed this. She went ahead and made sure you got a house. You have a 5-bedroom, right? It was only you and your wife. You got 2 kids, right? That's it. So it's a bedroom for your mama. It's a bedroom for your, for her mother that lives there. It's a bedroom for the auntie. So they were coming at him about that. Like, so she could have lived with you, right? She's the owner on the house. So why isn't she living with you? And so he was just sitting there like, no, like she wanted her own house. That's what it was. So they were like asking him, did you tell your mom that it's a 30-year mortgage? I don't remember. Did you tell your mom that it was just about really using her income? I don't remember. Did you feel bad that you couldn't buy the house on your own? That you needed your mama? So there's a lot of cross-examination where Really B was dozing off. Okay. She was sitting there. I was like, Lord, I'm gonna have to tap her. She start snoring. But it was all good. She was like, well, they were kind of repetitive with a lot of the questions as well. But I just couldn't get past the fact that you got you a 5-bedroom house and you make $70,000 a year. I was like, that wasn't. So like I said, Rashid didn't make the best of the best decisions. And then I guess allegedly he told his mom, Pauline, that after 6 months he can refinance. Thank you, Miss Bees. He told his mom that he can refinance after 6 months and take her off the deed. But the issue is you still don't make that much money. So you cannot refinance. So they went to, is your mom still on the mortgage? Did you get her off in 6 months? No. Did you get her off in a year? No. Did you get her off in 2 years? Isn't it true that to this day your mom is still on the mortgage? So they went through all of that. And of course, thank you, April, for the Cash App. I appreciate you. But they went through all of that. So so then when it came to Miss Pauline's money, most of the conversations, it was established that Pauline did not talk to Whitehead directly. It was always Whitehead, Miss Pauline, and Rashid. They were all on three-way. So then the cross-examination said, did you ever tell your mom not to give the $90,000? Did you tell her it wasn't a good idea? Aren't you the one that told her to take it out? I mean, they kind of got hard in a minute. They were like really kind of getting hard on your complacentness, almost like why would you allow this to happen if it wasn't a good idea? And it was because your mama trusted you based on what you said. Isn't that correct? You convinced your mom to take the $100,000 out of his retirement. He was like, incorrect. So, in cross-examination, the questions aren't evidence, but when you have the ability to lead, you create your own story. And sometimes, well, a lot of times the jury will listen to the questions, and take it as if that's what it is. So he started saying incorrect, on a few things. So he said, did you ever see if your mom had any alternatives that she could have did besides giving the bishop $90,000? He's like, no. You didn't stop your mom from giving the $90,000 check, did you? He's like, no. You didn't tell her, don't take out the IRA, did you? He's like, no. Never told her to do that, did you? And I'm sitting back like, where is this $90,000? That's all I was thinking about. I was like, I get where they was going with it, because it was, so his argument is, so around this time, we know that Rashid did not have money to really get this house. So their argument is Rashid came to Whitehead and said, I want to learn how to do real estate and I want to flip houses. So Whitehead was supposed to go in with him to help him to learn how to flip houses. So they were supposed to go in together. So what he is arguing is that this was something that it wasn't just him, it was Rashid. I don't know if he's trying to make a double responsibility. I don't know, because we did see the bank account where Whitehead deposited the $90,000 in his account. So it wasn't like Rashid had the money or they can trace the money to Rashid. But I know you got to do what you can do with what you got, when you're a defense attorney. So they, she asked, she's like, did you lie to your mom and say you're going to invest and that you were going to buy her a house when really you were going to invest and flip it with the bishop? He was like, no. So they're trying to almost flip like what the purpose, like you told her we was going to buy a house, but really it was an investment. And basically with an investment, you have risk. But again, we were all asking, where's the $90,000? And then like they were asking, were you the one, Rashid, that advised her? You never insisted on a contract, did you? He's like, I don't remember. So he started getting to a point too where he was like, he didn't remember some of the stuff. Did you ever tell your mom you would give her the $90,000 back? He's like, no. Did you ever tell your mom that you would buy and flip properties? No. So then it started kind of getting a little bit like real repetitive. So they asked, did you even tell your mom that like what the terms of this alleged agreement was? And he was like, no, that was between her and Whitehead. Whitehead told her. So the Rashid thing just went on and on and on and on. Now, one thing that was different, it looks like Rashid did say that his mom was a member. and says she paid tithes and offering. Now, when Pauline was on the stand, she said she was not a member. She just visited a couple of times, and she went on his prayer call. So I don't know how important that was supposed to be. A lot of the stuff that was elicited just didn't seem very material to me, but that's just me. So then with the tithes and offering, because of course he said he gave the $14,000 or whatnot. So she asked him, isn't it true that is tax deductible? Didn't you deduct that on your taxes because it's an entity? You know, nothing is free, right? He has to pay for the stuff that has to do with the church. He said, doesn't the tithes go to rent? And Rashid was like, I don't know. Didn't he give donations for people in need? So it was a lot of questioning to try to just say, you know, talk about the tithes and offering and where it went, because it'll look bad. Like all this money, they showing this guy in the flashy clothes and all of this and that. So we want to know where the money is. So that was that. Let me see if it's just anything else important, because we got to get to the they went in because apparently it's only $85,000 because Pauline Anderson, I think we talked about it on a previous video, but Pauline Anderson said that she wanted to buy some property in Jamaica, and the property was $5,000, and Whitehead did end up giving $5,000 to her. So it was really $85,000 and not $90,000. So that was brought up. Then I guess Whitehead had given her $1,100, like $100 for that interest payment he was supposed to pay every month, and then $1,000. So they was like, so basically he paid $6,100. I'm like, $6,100 versus the $90,000. Okay, like, so that then the lawsuit came up that Whitehead sued everybody, you know, related to this. But there was also an escrow with Rashid when he had his closing, and he got like $9,000. So there was question about that, like, why didn't you give your mom the $9,000? You know, and they kind of was making it seem like he wasn't entitled to the $9,000, that he told a story or something, or may have lied in order to get the $9,000 from the seller. Of course, he said that's incorrect. So a lot of stuff was just trying to make Rashid look bad. So then on redirect from the government, they came back and was like, you got the $9,000 in escrow, right? And what did you do with some of that money? They was like, I gave Whitehead some of that money. So I believe he said he gave him like $2,400. He was like, well, why did you give it to him? Because he said that he needed to pay a bill. So it was crazy because on recross, they literally, it took them, the judge was like, you only got 5 minutes. And they almost undid their whole 2-3 hours, in my opinion, with just hitting them with questions or whatever to correct it. And the whole thing was, did your mom, because the contract, so let me back up. The contract, the agreement that he has, that Whitehead allegedly had, thank you, Joyce, for the cash app. The agreement that he allegedly had with Pauline Anderson was supposed to be for a year. So if November happened, so it was like November, let's just say 2020, I think is when all this happened. When the agreement happened, that's when she gave him the $90,000. So he had a year to get this house, fix it up, and then she was going to get a mortgage. That was supposed to be like the plan. So she wanted her money back in May of 2021. So part of the conversation when she asked for her money back, when they were showing all the texts, when she was asking for the money was, but the year wasn't up, was it? So the year hadn't been up yet when she was asking for her money. So that came up in cross-examination where they said, okay, well, the contract wouldn't have been up till November of 2021 where the money would have been due. So isn't it true that they were asking for the money before the money was even due? The government came back and they were like, so when November 2021 came, did Whitehead give the money back? He was like, no. How about a year after that? No. How about a year after that? No. To this day, has he given the money back? He was like, no. So it was just, that's what I wanted to know. I was just like, well, what even happened to the money? So anyway, then it was one part where it was a text message where Rashid was talking to Whitehead and called him Lamor, right? He was like, listen, Lamor, and wasn't calling him Bishop. So Whitehead's attorney said, you were he said you were he said you called him Lamor, didn't you? He was like, yeah, why would you call him that? He's like, basically that's his name. He was like, but isn't he a bishop? He said, so weren't you trying to be disrespectful by calling a bishop Lamor? I was like, so isn't it disrespectful to call a bishop by his first name? So she said, you were trying to disrespect him. You were trying to disrespect him by calling him Lamor in this text message. So then they got into the civil lawsuit and all of that type stuff. And that was it. That was pretty much it. That was a quick synopsis of him. Again, I would say with what the defense had, they did well. I think she did pretty well with her cross-examination. But again, you only work with what you got, okay? You can only work with what you have. So then the special agent came on, Alexander, I think it's Louise. I don't even know how to say his name. But anyway, Lozias, he came on, and he's from the F and the B and the I. And the FBI was deep up in there. They kept coming in droves. It was like 5 coming in, 10 to come in. I'm like, what is about to happen in here? But so the FBI came in, and Mr. Alexander, and he basically was there when they came to execute the search warrant for Whitehead's house. So he talked about how they parked down the street and they had a warrant for his iPhone that was on his person. And Whitehead seen them, and he came out of the house and he walked down there, and they got out of the car and they told him, we got this warrant. We have this warrant right here. And so we're going to need that iPhone that you just put in your pocket. So they went and they took the iPhone. So then he also talked about the second warrant as well, of which, and we'll get into that. And one of the Belmonte calls, there was talks about some GUNs being in the church. And so because of that, I guess they were able to get a search warrant to try to search the church. But they were trying to be courteous because they did not want to kick the doors down. So he said he would call the owner or whatnot, because all this was happening at like 6 a.m. So he said he would try to call the owner or the property manager or whoever to open the door. He wasn't able to get in contact with them, I don't think, because it was so early. But so he just talked about the warrant and what the warrant said and all of that. So he was still on the stand. This morning. So then they asked him, did he know Brandon Belmonte as well? So the point was, there were some recordings that we've been hearing about, and we heard them this morning. So they were recording with Brandon Belmonte. And so for those of you that don't know who Brandon Belmonte is, I'm going to pull up the indictment just to refresh your recollection. So on the indictment, let me go up. So we went over before on the first video, we went back over the Pauline Anderson, so we'll know what it is, you know, what's being alleged. So let me go to the third paragraph in the indictment. So in or about April and May of 2022, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, attempted to convince a businessman, which is Brandon Belmonte, to lend Whitehead approximately $500,000 and give him a stake in certain real estate transactions. Whitehead told victim 2 that in exchange for this money and interest in real estate transaction, Whitehead would obtain favorable actions by the New York City government for victim 2 that would enrich both Whitehead and victim 2. When Whitehead knew that he had no ability to obtain such actions, Despite that knowledge, Whitehead told victim 2 that he would make millions. Near the beginning of his relationship with victim 2, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, also used threats of force to obtain $5,000 from a business owned by the victim 2. At the direction of the law enforcement, victim 2 made the payment to Whitehead. So that's where Brandon Belmonte comes in, okay? So Brandon Belmonte, this agent, knew the voice of Whitehead because he had seen him a number, 2-3 times or whatever, and had heard his voice. He also knew who Brandon Belmonte was. This agent was also there when they provided him, and Tom Ford, who was the lead agent, provided Belmonte with a recorder so that he can record the conversations that he was having with Whitehead. So he talked about like when he met Belmonte, because you have to form a foundation in order for him to identify, his voice and how long he talked to him and would have heard his voice. And he was like, would you? So the government was like, if you heard his voice, heard Belmonte and Whitehead's voice, would you know beyond a reasonable doubt that it is Belmonte and Whitehead? He was like, oh, yes, I know beyond a reason. I would know for certainty. He didn't say beyond a reasonable doubt, but he said for certainty, I would know if that's their voice. So then before this is how I knew what kind of what their defense was. So when the agent said, yes, I know their voice, Whitehead's attorney gets up to cross-examine. Well, not even cross-examine. It was voir dire, which is the question whether he really has the ability to form the foundation for these recordings. So Whitehead's attorney, when she was voir diring this agent, she said, were you able over, because it was 7 different, it was like 3 audios that we heard that were directly from the FBI. And then there were 7 videos that were FaceTime videos that 5 videos that I think were FaceTime videos or recorded by Belmonte. And it was 3 that came from the government from their device. So when she tried to voir dire him, I guess, to challenge the credibility, I guess, of this audio, because of course they were objecting because they wouldn't want it in. And you'll know in a minute why they probably did not want it in. But she asked him, did you personally confirm that it wasn't AI? Were you able to personally confirm that it wasn't unedited in any way? Can you confirm that this is the complete copy of the recording? Can you confirm? So she was just she did that for every video. Like, this could be AI, this could not be him, this could be somebody else, I guess. And they just like, no, I didn't confirm that. No, I did. Did you look at the metadata that says this and this and that? How do you know that it wasn't modified or changed in any way? So needless to say, the judge said we're going to enter in these exhibits. And what the government did was they had text messages, right? So they had text message conversations between Belmonte and Whitehead, but they weren't using it for the truth of the matter asserted, because in theory it is hearsay. So what they were using it for, even though you could read the text, was to show to give context to why, like, Belmonte met Whitehead when he met Whitehead, or when they met up and all of that. So they had dates from the text messages that would be first and say, okay, bro, I'll meet you tomorrow. And then, of course, the audio would show that they met up that next day. So for those of you that are not aware, so it was $5,000. And I don't know how clear this is. I kind of came on the tail end, but I know the context of a lot of this stuff because I've been following it. But it's alleged that, well, we know Whitehead reached out to Belmonte because his wife Asia's car got into an accident. So they showed kind of pictures of him reaching out to him on the text and showed pictures of the car. He wanted Belmonte to fix the car. Somehow, I don't know where this came from, but somehow Whitehead wanted $5,000. So all these texts was coming through where it was like asking, here's my Zelle, give me the $5,000. Give me the $5,000. And Belmonte was just consistently saying, bro, I paid $12,000. If you guys saw his interview he did on that radio station at one time, he was basically saying the same thing. He said, I fixed your wife's car. I lost money. Typically, we only make 20% of whatever someone pays or what the insurance company pays. Anyway, we paid $12,000 or something around that for a rental. I paid that out my pocket. There's no money. I don't owe you $5,000. Whitehead kept saying, you supposed to give me $5,000. You owe me $5,000 and all of that. So the first video they showed, Belmonte was the one that recorded it. And he's telling them like, bro, like I'm going through some stuff. My father is ill. And so like, why you calling me like this? Like my father is ill. He was like, asking about this money. He was like, I'm in the hospital. He got cut from ear to ear. Like, come on, he just got out of surgery. Why are you calling me? Whitehead's basically like, he don't got time for this. He ain't the one. Don't play with me. I'll hurt you. Like he talked about people being scared of him and all. I mean, he was just popping it up, people scared of him. He that guy. Whitehead said he got a whole team of people. He told Brandon, basically part of your problem is you around too many people. I'm by myself. You got the wrong people around you. And he starts getting into a lot of this conversation about talking about the mayor. It was so weird because it went from, I'm going to give me this 5K. Give me this 5K. You owe me this money. Don't play with me. Then he kind of got into a business relationship. It was crazy how like a lot of the audio and the text morphed where it was like, I see potential in you. Whitehead was calling him kid and everything in these videos and stuff. He was like, kid. Look, kid, I see potential in you or whatever. We could make money together. We could make millions together. He was like, I'm in a position to make millions. You must not know my connections. And Brandon Belmonte basically was like, you know what? My father looked you up in the hospital, looked Eric Adams up in the hospital. And he was like, I didn't even know this guy or whatever. And he's like, so now, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be serious again. This is what happened when I look in the comments. I gotta stay focused.
I'm being serious. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So in the video, he's letting Whitehead's letting Belmonte know him and E, that's what he called Eric Adams. Me and E is tight. You know what I'm saying? I tell E, boom, 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 this is what I want. And E basically gonna be like, all right, then you tell me, but you gotta come to me with a plan. All I gotta do is come to him with a plan. And then, I can get, I got access. He actually said the mayor was gonna be running for governor or something. He was like, his next plan, he gonna move up. He even moving up further. He plan on, running for governor. And so Belmonte was like, by this time he recording, so he probably has an intent that he ain't about to really do nothing anyway. But he was like, I want to make money too. He was like, I want to make money. Money is, as well. So then he's like, at the end of the day, kids, I'm that guy. That's how he was talking to him. Like, all right, kid, he was like, yeah, I'm a street guy, but then I also got doors. You know, I got doors and stuff that's open. So then, like on April 25th, 2022, there was a text message. And Whitehead's like, you said you was gonna call me back in an hour. That's like 3 days ago. So then Brandon Belmonte was like, well, can you meet me on Wednesday? So that was the text. And then on April 29th, there was an audio. You know, obviously it was a few weeks from the text. So he was like, Whitehead said, look here, Belmonte, I'm gonna be sitting with Eric, trying to, you know, I'm be sitting with Eric trying to close, you know, in a few deals. I'm gonna be like, yeah, E, look, you know, look at what I got. He's gonna do whatever, you know, whatever whatever I want to do. He's gonna tell me, you know, where the money is. So I tell him what I'm trying to do, and then I guess he's gonna tell him where the money is. He said, brother, I got the keys to the city, bro. Then Belmonte was letting him know some of the deals he had going on. So Belmonte had some villa or something that he already had in the works, but they did a stop order on the villa because I guess the construction workers went on the neighbor's property. And so you can't do that, is what he was explaining. So there was a stop order from the city. So he was interested in trying to get this stop order on. So it was a lot of conversation of trying to get him, on this you know, he was like, okay, if you got this, you know, hookup, then maybe you can get this stop order done, you know, and removed. That'll be kind of what your job is. So he was like, man, I would love to do business with you. He said, you know, Eric Adams used to call me at like 1 something in the morning. We'll leave that alone.
I ain't even gonna comment. What'd you say?
I ain't say nothing. I'm just listen, I don't got no opinion. The man's innocent until proven guilty.
Say that last line again.
I'm not saying that no more. He said, my father mentored him. Lolisa, where you at? He said his father, he said, my father mentored him. He said, he loves me. Talking about Eric Adams. At the end of the day, we got to make moves, bro. So then Brandon Belmonte said, well, how can he help us? He said, I know E. If I come to him and say, we got this and we got that, and I come with a plan, we could just get it done. We'll tell him what needs to be done.
Lolisa's there.
Oh. Hello.
You see what St. James said in the chat?
Lolisa, girl, everybody, every time he say something, I think everybody in the courtroom snickers every single time. I'm like, we don't even know these people, and nobody believe it. Like, this is crazy. I don't know. Did your dad mentor Eric Adams though? I don't. Is that a true statement? Did he know Eric Adams? Lolisa, let me know. So then Whitehead was telling Belmonte how he told Eric Adams how he wanted to convert hotels into shelters. And he was like, we ain't got to do nothing illegal. I got City Hall on my side. He said the objective of the game is to keep the police away. I said, well, that didn't age well. What'd she say?
He never been to it.
Oh, child. I don't know. Maybe he was talking about a different daddy. I don't know.
Maybe it was another Mr. Bella.
I don't know. No, he just said my father mentored him. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. But yeah. And Whitehead said he never had to pay anybody off to get the power that he has. And so then he like started talking about the governor, Hochul, the one that's there now, and I guess Williams at that time, who may have been running against him or something. I don't know. I wasn't even getting that part. Although Lisa said Eric is the age of my big sisters and he became involved in the movement when my dad was murdered. Oh, I got you. Well, maybe that's it, child. I don't know. I'm just reporting. What this man was saying, but
he didn't get that memo.
I'm not doing this with y'all. I'm trying to objectively report, okay? So then he tells this story. Whitehead tells this story, y'all. He says, you know, I'm telling, because he's up here trying to create this foundation that he that guy, okay? If you need anything, he got access. He got the keys to the city, okay? He out here making moves, right? Damn, that's what he said he was doing.
He making moves.
So he said one time I was at a restaurant and I was there eating with Eric Adams. And he said, and my car was outside and somebody came up and said, Bishop, you gonna end up getting a ticket on your car. And he was like, Eric Adams responded like, you don't know who this guy is, but I think he like supposedly used the N-word or something. So I was just like, oh my gosh. So then he's telling Brandon Belmonte what his problem is. He said, Brandon, you around a bunch of F-boys. That's why you ain't going where you need to go, because you're not around the right people. He said, I mean, let's just look at it this way. If my mentor is the mayor, why wouldn't I make at least $200, $300 million? You know, if my mentor is the mayor. And then he was like, Eric's only gonna help who he trusts. So basically, if you ain't good with me and I trust you, you know, then he gonna trust you too. So he said, so he was like, Belmonte said, you got the city behind you. He said, so that means you got the bank behind you. He said, that's it. Like that. So then Belmonte said it's hunting season, and Whitehead said everything is deer. So then he says, well, Monty says, you know what, Whitehead, you was very intimidating when you got in my face. I thought you were going to crack my head or something. So I thought you was going to hit me. So then Whitehead talks about, we get into that because it was a situation that had happened. It wasn't no fight, but it was somebody who testified that was so random that I wasn't even what I think he's talking about on this situation, but I ain't sure. So then Whitehead goes on to say he lost $172,000. It's, you know, somebody because of somebody helped him lose, made him lose $172,000. And he was like, Belmonte said, well, did you go after him? And he was like, don't worry about it. He gonna get his, you know, he gonna get his. He said, I ain't worried about that. So then he starts talking about, I guess, Queen Latifah. It was a bunch of name dropping, right? So he said Queen Latifah, I guess, must have done some building, or y'all probably know if it's true or not. I don't know. But he said, I guess she did some in Newark, New Jersey. She had like some type of, maybe some she did something out there with some building. So he basically was saying he wanted to do something similar. So it was some text messages about, I mean, there was some audio conversation about that. So then he said, I guess when Eric Adams was borough president, he was going to give him $52 million to build a museum. That's what he said. I'm just saying what he said. And he said he turned it down. Then he said,
build a museum.
A museum. That's what he said.
Of what? Of fake suits and jewelry? Go ahead. All right.
So then, Whitehead goes on, ninjas is scared of me, but he used, the word. He said, I'm surprised you're not scared to be at the church. He said, that's when Belmonte said, I'm surprised you're not scared to be at the church, like your church in the hood. And Whitehead responded that they got GUNs in the church. So that's where that warrant came from. Because he made that statement. So then it was a May 4th, 22. It was a government recording on May 4th, 2022. So then basically Belmonte said we need to meet up to put together a plan. Because what they supposed to do, what it looks like is Belmonte got some money, and I guess because Whitehead is saying he got the connection. So that's what you guys see in the indictment. So he's saying I got the connections. So he's like, we need to meet up and we need to, put together a plan. So Whitehead was like, I can't do it tomorrow. And then Whitehead wanted Belmonte to come to his house. And Belmonte was like, no, I'm going to need you to come to my house. So they like made up to try to, see each other at like 8 o'clock in the morning because they're going to put this plan together so that they can present it, I guess, to Mayor Adams. So then on May 5th of 2022, there was an audio where Whitehead said, yo, Belmonte, I done called Eric. He's going to call me back. So he had left a message. He said, man, Brandon, we got to do this. It's so much money out here. We have got to do this. It's millions out here. And then Brandon's telling him about this building. I guess it's another building that he has. And he was saying that he can come on board and I guess and be a part of it, but he wouldn't have to put the money up. So they trying to figure out this partnership, that's going to happen when they going to take over New York with this partnership that they got going on. So he was going over like how much he, they were going over that. So I ain't going to go into that. So then Whitehead was telling them, whatever he presents to the mayor, he got to show him that he own it. So mind you, these projects, basically Belmonte got 2-3 projects going and he was going to put Whitehead on the projects. But Whitehead like, listen, I got to connect to City Hall. So they talked about another one in the Bronx. Oh, I'm sorry.
Listen, my wife get caught up.
I be getting caught up. I don't even looking at y'all in the comments. I'm trying to get this out because we be here all night because it was so much because I got to get to the Eric Adams text, okay? He said, I can walk. Whitehead said, we going to be partners together. We can conquer everything when we become partners. So then he said, I can walk in any office. I play no games. That's a quote. I play no games. So then Belmonte goes on about some Ryer Street unit that he has and was talking about how it should be done in the next couple of weeks. They're waiting on the final appraisal. And Whitehead was like, you can pull me in, I'm going to produce. You pull me in, I'm going to produce. And then he says, we got to have a plan, though, when we go to E. We got different relationship. Me and E got different relationship. So then Belmonte said, like, what can you offer us? He's like, I'm envisioning things, but what can he offer us? Can he offer us grants? Is he going to offer us protection from, things that they get with the buildings? Probably like those different permits, like him saying he got the stop order and the permits and all of that. He's like, what all can he offer? And Whitehead was like, with connections, when you connected, you already protected. He got real rhymey. He was rhyming. He got his flow on, okay? He's like, when you connected, you already protected. He said, I'm a big dog, bro. I make things happen. That's a quote. I need you to see. I should have left the room because Deb is over here laughing and I'm being so serious. He said, I bring the door opener. That's what he brings to the table. He said he the door opener. He said that Jews come to him.
Wait, did he really say he a big dog? Jews come to him. Wow.
For his connections. He gave an example, I guess, of somebody that I guess allegedly came to him for, for his connections. Wow. He said, I know city councilors. That's what he said, counselors too. He ain't say council. He said, I know city councilors. I know senators. He said, it's all a political game. He said, I got a 90-unit project right now I'm about to buy into in Seymour, Connecticut. Another 77-unit in Connecticut that I'm about to purchase. So then he said, Belmonte said, are there any affordable housing grants? He's like, yeah. Yeah. Gwendella said I would have been escorted.
You see somebody said, is he friends with Nesto?
I can't look at these comments. I'm trying to be serious. This is what y'all asked for, okay? I'm trying to give y'all to it how it was given to me. Then this the killer. So then Whitehead said, wait, Brandon. Let me go on here. Y'all better get these cash apps up too.
You get her real choking.
Let me take this off of here because I need y'all to see the full enactment. He said, wait, Brandon, let me go ahead and call Eric right now. Oh man, I'm gonna have to shoot him a text. Wait a minute, let me go ahead and I'm about to call his assistant. Let me call his assistant right quick. Oh, hold on. This is assistant. Hey, yeah, I'm trying to get on Eric Adams' calendar. Could you give me a call when you get a chance? So he left a message. So then he says, yeah, he probably in meetings. He said, I called the schedule and I left a text. So then the lady did call him back. Her name Gladys. So he said, it's Eric's assistant. Well, ring. Oh, it's Eric's assistant. Good morning, Gladys. Okay. She basically said, okay, I'm gonna get serious though. He basically said, I need to get on the schedule. And so he's letting you hear the conversation, because he's trying to prove to Belmonte that he got this connection. So he was like, hey, how's everything going? Everything good? I've been trying to get in touch with E. He been calling me. We kind of been missing each other. So then he said, I want to get on his schedule in the next couple of weeks. And she was like, well, he's gone. He's in LA. Oh, he is. When he come back? She was like, today. He was like, okay, I need to get on his schedule within the next couple of weeks. He was like, okay. Then he asked about her daughter. How's the baby? She's like, she's 16. Oh man, she's 16 already. Oh, okay. All right, then go ahead and give him, whatever. He's like, I just need to get on his calendar the next week or two. So then he hangs up. He's all right, Gladys. He hang up. See, Belmonte, you see how we talk? You see how we talk? You heard that conversation, right? You see how we talk? So then he said, yo, Belmonte, I need another $500,000 to finish up the work in Connecticut. I need it for 2 months, bro. I just need it for 2 months. I only owe No, he was like, I only owe $4 million on it. He was like, I'm gonna refinance in the next 60 days. So y'all know we done talked about this Connecticut property that's currently in foreclosure. But he was like, I'm gonna refinance it, so I'm gonna need this $500,000. So then he goes on, he said, well, I'm in the process of refinancing right now. I'm gonna go back through FM Loan. Now, if y'all know we done seen these hearings with FM Loan trying to get their money back. But he said he was about to refinance back to them. He said they told me to go through the process now. So, I'm already going to start the process. I can get it, from other means, but, I just need it ASAP, so I could go ahead and get this 500,000 so I could fix up this property. He was like, I can give you a fee or whatever. I just need that ASAP. So then Belmonte said, well, let me go ahead and forward it to Brad. That's his attorney. He was like, I'm going to forward the information. So he was asking him the address, the appraisal, like he was asking him all the stuff that had to do with the building. Now, before that, he slips in, before he started talking about, I think it was in between the phone call or right before the phone call or right after, he was bragging, talking, he wasn't even around no celebrities before me. I put him in meetings with Jay-Z. He said he put him in a meeting with Jay-Z. He helped him meet Jay-Z. He was like, listen, Brandon, bro. Bro. I got your back, man. We could make so much money. It's unreal. I got connection with Eric, but I got underneath connections too. I can walk, and then he went on to the hall again. I could walk into any senators, the assembly. He added the assembly this time. Council. He's like, I can get with that. And then Brandon was like, plus you got the street smarts too. So then Whitehead said, let me go call my guy. He, So then he called some other old random dude, but I guess had some project. He was like, what you doing, man? Oh, I'm over here playing golf. And he was like, oh, man, asking him about some projects they was trying to do. I don't know if the same guy dealing with the Queen Latifah stuff. I don't know, but he was just trying to prove that, he know people. So this guy he was like, how many units was that, man? How many units is your project? He was like 4,200 units. So he was just getting them to know, like, I know people. So then it's just so So then it was like another FaceTime, and it was like, look at this. He called me. So he's showing that allegedly he had a missed call. I guess it was supposed to be from Eric Adams. I don't know, but he had a missed call. So he FaceTimed him to show him that he had a missed call. And he was like, they could FaceTime and do Zoom, but he wanted to see it and, see them in person. He can't get with that or whatever. He wanted it to be an in-person meet. So then it was text again between Brandon and Whitehead, where it was like, Brandon was like, how long do you need the money? So we talking about the 500,000. Now he said 3 to 5 months. Now remember it was 60 days before. Now he said he needed for 3 to 5 months. He's starting the refinance process now. So then he said, I gave the info for him to forward it. So then like they showed that he gave information. He gave his account information, I guess, to the email to give, attached to the email to give to his attorney. So he done gave him his account information and everything. So then May 12th of 2022, around that, it was a recording from the government where basically Belmonte was saying that he was gonna they should have the documents in the morning. He was gonna start an LLC called LA, I think it was LABB or something, but he was like he was going to create some type of LLC partnership, and it was for this alleged, you know, business transaction they was gonna have together. So then on May 14th, 2022, Whitehead was like, I'm not understanding what's going on. I got this meeting set up with the mayor, you know, like, and you haven't shown, I don't have no pay invoices. I don't have nothing because Belmonte ain't turned over nothing. He ain't signed over nothing. He ain't did nothing at this point, right? So he's like, I got this meeting. So then it was a text on May 18th where Whitehead kind of going off. It was like, no wire. It shows you never sent it. Why you put me in this position? Because I told you I could have gotten it from someone else. Now you put me way behind on my renovation. I go hard when people do things like that to me. Now you don't want to pick up the phone. God, you know, he was going off. Like all his texts are super long, but he was like going in, but he ended it, you know, with the God bless. God bless. I'm not even mad at you. Now I know who you are. Stay blessed. Signed, the bishop. So that's like how he ended the text. So baby, then we got to the government exhibit 108. He was cussing. He was cussing Belmonte out. He was like, you ain't ish, you mother effer. I'm gonna bust you to the mother effing white meat. F you, ninja. You eat a. Y'all finished the death word. You effing agate. It was just, and then he said, you can record this. I was like, well, you got your wish, because baby, he was going off. So then they showed, so then there's another exhibit they had where he was saying, as I'm preparing for this meeting, I'm glad I found out who you are. You will reap what you sow, what you did to me. You have no idea how God deals with people that try to destroy his people. The way he cussed him, he went off. He was yelling. It was like, you, like all you heard was a bunch of yelling. If it wasn't for the transcript, you probably wouldn't even know what was allegedly said. So then there was a text on May 20th of 2022, and Whitehead said, your wife is bending over to another man. That's what he told Brandon. You lied to a pastor and held up his family. Before you pull me out of character, stay away from me. Nobody likes you anyway. I have a great life. Watch me shine. It was a lot of stuff in between, so I just pulled stuff, but it was a lot. Whitehead be typing, man. He typing some stuff. And then he called Brandon a racist. Then he said, I'm not being funny. He said, you're a
clown. That's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? Huh? You tough? Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh? Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard.
He said, you a clown. And then he said, you're a fat slob. You're a narcissist. And if you want to do something, we could meet up. And Brandon Belmonte that day said, I ain't that guy. I don't know who you thought I was. I don't care if I'm recording, but you ain't about to talk to me like that. So he ain't say that, but that's what I'm saying that he was thinking, because he responded and said, yo, you got fake threats like your fake meetings. So he basically said, Fake threats like fake meetings. I guess he was referring to the Eric Adams. He said, Whitehead said, one thing that's not fake is the balls off your wife's chin. Stop, damn. I'm trying.
Listen, there's no serious way to say that.
One thing that's not fake is the balls off your wife's chin. Get lipo, you fat.
Now, see what somebody said in the chat? JDK talking about balls off what? Balls off his wife's chin. That's what he said. Why do people talk about see you being comedy?
Thank you, D Queen. I'm just
let me tell you something real quick.
So
y'all are getting a taste
wait,
of what
Pat
my wife does a lot.
Pam, when you retire, you definitely need to go into comedy. Better yet, you don't have to retire. It can be on inside your side.
Listen, y'all are getting a taste of what my
I'm
wife
not
does.
trying to be funny, guys. Y'all,
that's what's funny.
That's why I don't even look at the chat, because y'all got me over here.
Somebody said, did the jury hear this?
Yes. Yes. This was the jury heard these audios. He did.
But Net Geo talking about I'm hollering. Andrew talking about I'm screaming. Listen, she's not making this up. This is a sample of what I hear all the time. And she's not trying to be funny. That's why she's funny.
Okay. We got to get back. Court is now in session, okay? The 10-minute break is up. So then they had cross-examination. And, of course, Whitehead was like, the agent had only been an agent for like 2 years. So, mind you, the government is reading either Belmonte or Whitehead in these texts. And then the agent that I said that knew about his voice and all that, he's reading the other portion. So when they had a text, they're reading it. And again, the texts are not for the truth of the matter asserted because it's actually hearsay, but they just found another way, like an exception. You have exceptions to hearsay, and it was just to kind of put things in context when you got to these audios. So then comes cross-examination, and they were just asking, like, what do you really say? You know what I'm saying? I was curious. I was like, where are we going to say after this? So then he asked, how long were you an agent? Because the guy had only been for like 3 years, I think, a little over 3 years now. So he was like, only about 2 years then. How long did you know Belmonte? So he has April of 2022. And then he asked about, was there a consent signed for him to be recorded? Who gave the instructions to Belmonte regarding the recording? How long were you with Belmonte on the first day? You know, they was like 30 minutes to an hour. So they were establishing whether you knew, I guess, who he was or what the voice was. He said, the agent wasn't the one that made the report or wrote anything down or what happened. It was the main agent for it. And then he said, they asked, do you know where Belmonte went after he left? You know, after he left them dropping off the recordings, they were like, no. You have no idea if Belmonte met with Whitehead. And then they go through like the recordings and the search warrant. How early was the search warrant? It's like 6 a.m. And the search warrant said you can seize all Apple iPhones on the person of Lamor. So it wasn't like it was a search warrant to go into his house to get the phones or the electronics. It was literally for on his person. Then they asked him, when did you meet Whitehead? He was like, June 8th. When did you first see Whitehead? Asked them when they saw him on that day. June 8th was the day they executed the search warrant for the phones. That was it. It wasn't for his house. It was just for the phone on his person. And so they were asking him, was his hands in his pocket? You know, he said he was the one that took the phone from Whitehead. Did Whitehead ask you guys, what was this about? And he's like, yes, he asked me. He asked it, could he see the warrant? Yes, he did. And he looked through the search warrant. I guess everybody was in the street when it happened, but then Whitehead was like, can we go to the driveway? Because I want my neighbors to see. So then I guess they asked him, so you don't have a second phone that we can call you on? And Whitehead was like, no. So that's the quote of them when we get into the cell phone situation on the indictment, what they say. Let me pull this up. Let me see. During the course of the investigation into the conduct of Lamor Whitehead, the defendant special agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation executed a search warrant for cell phones on the person of Whitehead. Whitehead told the agents that he owned only the cell phone which was then on his person, when Whitehead knew that in fact he owned a second cell phone, which is regularly used before and after the execution of the warrant, including to send text message in which Whitehead identified phone 2 as, quote, my other phone, shortly after telling the agents that he had no other phone. So that was part of it, was lying to an agent, because he said he didn't have any phones. And I think he was saying like his phones were the other phone, because they asked him, okay, you went into the house, because Whitehead went into the house in order to call, like I told you guys, the person who could let him into the church. And so they were like, well, what phone did you use? He said his daughter's. So that's the other charge that they have. So then Angel Fernandez then came on the stand. And I said, who is Angel Fernandez? Well, you guys are about to find out. So Angel Fernandez was the driver of Brandon Belmonte. He said he's been driving since 2016. He met Brandon in the summer of 2021 because he asked for an Uber SUV, I guess, and he picked him up. So then Brandon called him 2 weeks later and was like, hey, can you be my driver? So he became his driver. Well, he drives Brandon Belmonte to his work site, and he also does errands, like he regularly does errands. So he says, so then the government asks, do you know a guy named, he's like, is there a time that you met Whitehead? He said approximately October 2021, he met him because Brandon had called him to come to his shop in the Bronx, which is No Limit Body Shop. Brandon and told him, hey, I need you to come pick me up. So he went there, and I guess he went to, because he had to deposit some checks. He said Whitehead showed up. He said he saw Whitehead on more than one occasion. Whitehead was driving a Rolls Royce, he said. And then he saw him on an average of like every 2 weeks, like that he saw Whitehead up there. So he said he saw an argument between them in the summer of 2022. He said he was in his car, and Whitehead came out of Belmonte's office, and he said while he was waiting, Whitehead came out, and Brandon, they both came out the office, and Brandon was trying to explain something to Whitehead, and Whitehead was heated. So they said, what do you mean by he was heated? He said there was some profanity. He had a thick accent. He said there was some profanity words like mother effer, those type of words. So then he said Whitehead was all over Brandon. And he said, my thought was that Mr. Whitehead would jump on him. So then he said Whitehead was close to Brandon. So the guy gets up to show how close he is. And he's like, he was in his face like that. And apparently Belmonte was in like a submissive position and had his hands behind his back. And I guess Whitehead was just in his face, allegedly yelling, according to this person. So he said Brandon Belmonte just had his hands behind his neck, and he lowered behind his back, and he lowered his head like this while Whitehead was going in on him. So then he was like, Whitehead, they was like, well, who is the one? They was like, they said, what type of words was he using? He was like, can I say them? He was like, yes. He said, mother effer, son of a bitch, He said those type of words. So he said words like that. So then they said, well, did Whitehead actually hit him? He was like, no, he didn't hit him. But, you know, it was just a heated where he was all up in his face. And they said, what happened after that? Well, Whitehead went to his car and he left. And that was it. So then on cross-examination, you know, they were trying to establish that I think they may not have heard the direct right, you know, like accurately, because they were saying like, so Whitehead walked away and Whitehead walked away and Brandon Belmonte went right behind him and followed him. And the guy was like, no. He was like, you testified, you know, he was like, no, that's not what happened. He said, no, after he got done going in on Brandon, he left, got in his car and he left. I think they heard him say like, I don't know. I guess they heard him say that he walked away. He walked out of the office and was leaving or something. And then Brandon came behind him, but that's not what happened. Thank you so much, Fiverr Fox, for the super chat. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the love you guys are giving me. So then they were asking like about this guy, what type of errands he did, what did he do for him? So, you know, he was like deposit checks, take him to his lawyer's office, take things to his lawyer's office. Sometimes he had meetings and he took him to his meetings. He took him to New Jersey because he also had another shop in New Jersey as well. So he was like, sometimes he took him to New Jersey as well. That was pretty much it. It really wasn't much of a cost. It was actually really quick. So then Special Agent Freeman came on the stand. And he was the one that executed those good search warrants. So he talked about pretty much a lot of similar context on what happened when they got there, that all the agents, it was 4 in all, and they parked like on the side of the house, on the street with the side of the house. And they talked about how Whitehead came out. He walked up to them. They came out the car, told them they had a search warrant. They showed it to him. He read it. They like, give me your phone. And, you know, he kind of did that as, you know, he talked about that. Then there was another search warrant of which was executed. Let me see. Oh, he said like Whitehead unlocked the phone with his face. And he just kind of kept touching the phone to keep it unlocked because Whitehead was getting the numbers out of his phone because, you know, he needed to call the people, especially to get into the church and all of that. So they allowed him to take the phone and to get the numbers out. So they went into the whole, you know, they asked him if he had another phone, whose phone was he using? He said it was his daughter's phone. How many times did they ask him about the cell phones? They said 3 times. You don't have a second phone we can call you on? He said no. He said he would have, they said basically if he would have said he had another phone, then they would have called the appropriate authorities and been like, yo, we need another search warrant or whatever. They would have looked at, called the Department of Justice and asked like, what do we do so that we can get an extensive warrant? Because this warrant really was just for on his persons, which is like your pocket, your bag, if you have one on and all of that. So they said, I guess because of that, you know, they weren't able to get those phones. So they feel like, you know, they could have missed out on some information because of that. So then once the phone was seized, then it was transferred to Manhattan. So then on December 19, 2022, there was a second search that was of his house. Now, this time the search was for electronic devices owned or used by the defendant, as well as financial documents. And so he was the search team leader, and he described the exterior as a large property. We've all seen the house with the bricks and all of that. So then he described the basement. He said the basement had an arcade room. It had some series of rooms that he didn't go into, but there was a recording studio, a news type desk. He said a desk set up. He said there was it looked like a fitting room is how he described it. He said because it had like the 3-panel mirrors. And I guess he had cubbies with his shoes in it. They had blue lights or whatever for his shoes. And then he had a closet with his clothes, and they was all designer. Y'all seen them Gucci's and them Louis and them Fendi's? So he said that's what he had. He said the Gucci's, the Louis, and the Fendi's, and he had bags and stuff and all of that up in there. So then they showed pictures of like different checks. Like he had one from March 31st of 2015 from that Anointing Management, which you guys know was supposed to be a company that was. So they were showing like, they took pictures of like different, it was like 12 or 13 debit cards, like from all different banks that you could think of, from like for his management company, from that Anointing Management, from him personally, from Lamor Whitehead Inc., from Whitehead Estates. I mean, it was all the banks. So they took pictures of like the debit cards, the front and the back. Why are you laughing? I'm so sick of y'all.
You see what Gigi said, the thing, Canal Street knockoffs.
So they took a picture of his wallet with all the cards in it, and then they took a picture when they took all them cards out. And they took a picture of the wallet, the front and the back. So they had electronic devices. They took multiple cell phones. They said there was a couple of iPads. I believe they said it was a computer as well. And they were in his office that was in the basement. They talked about the iPad was in the office in the basement. So then cross-examination came and they said, you don't have any personal knowledge of whether those devices were in the home on June 2022, do you? Because remember, this search warrant was December. So they're saying you don't know if any of these electronic devices were actually in the house, because the accusation is that he lied and said that he did not have any more phones. So they saying since y'all wasn't there to search the phones, y'all don't know, in June, then y'all don't know if they was there. You guys found this stuff in December. So then they said, June solely authorized you to be able to get the phone on the person. So they were like, that's true. So then they asked him, did you have any reason to believe, that Whitehead had another phone on his person at that time? And he was like, no. He said, but yeah, we asked him multiple times asking if he had another phone. And they did ask him to open up the church and all of that. And it was like a professionalism. He wasn't like trying to evade or anything like that. It was a professional interaction. So that was that. Then you had Richard came on the stand. I think it's Bulk. But he's a special agent for the FBI for 22 years, and he was the member of the Cellular Analysis Survey Team, or CAST. So they went over how super smart he is, because they don't let everybody get on this team, and it's a competitive thing and all of that good stuff. And they went over all his training, and so he went and found out, like, he was able to show the conversations where he was when he was talking to like Rashid Anderson. So the government backed up everything they're talking about, these phone conversations and recordings. They found out where those cell phones were at. So they had about 3 different cell phones that they had. So they found out where their cell phones were at, and they was using this cell phone guy to basically explain how towers work and how they know where you are, and that they go on the strongest tower, and they can tell that it was in the Southern District of New York when this happened and all of that. So y'all know that was just like, that's kind of like what that's But you know how people just love their job so much. Like, he was just one of those that he was like talking to yes, when we go through the analysis, it says A, B, C, D, and E. And yes, when T-Mobile, we have those in red and we have Verizon in green. And this is what happens because it overlaps. And we can tell, you see the little pie chart part right here? You know how people just love their job. Very super smart guy. We appreciate you, sir. We appreciate your services. I might have to use them one day. So then, after he gets off the stand, we have Agent Delisa Penlane, Penlane. We didn't know what Delisa was going to do, but she works for the U.S. Attorney Office, and she's been a special agent for 9 years. But she was a case, I think they call them like a case investigator, a case worker or something. But she wasn't on this case. However, her job was she got exhibits and she was able to like review all the exhibits. And she said, they said, did you review text message between Eric Adams and the defendant? So there was a full set for over 6 years of conversations between Eric Adams and the defendant. Thank you, Alma, for the cash app. I appreciate it. And so it starts out, guys, August 26th of 2016. There was a text of someone who sent this to Mayor Eric Adams. And in this text, he basically was saying Whitehead was on Facebook beefing with another bishop. Told Mayor Adams, this your homeboy, this ain't a good look for you. And all of that. So he was basically checking Mayor Adams. Well, I ain't gonna say checking, but he was advising Mayor Adams of Whitehead's behavior. Okay. And so the first text message they showed was Eric Adams texting Whitehead and basically saying, Whitehead, I heard you was beefing with another bishop. It's not a good look for you. You must control your anger. You need to take that down or whatever. I'm very disappointed. This is a bad move. He put bad move. He was so mad when he texted. I think he spelled move wrong. But he said, this is a bad move. So Whitehead responded, I will take it down. This must be Figueroa's people. He was beefing with Figueroa. I was like, oh. He said, this must be his people. They calling you. Figueroa is putting people up to call you. His punk. So he was going all off that it was Figueroa and his people, and he was mad or whatever. But he was like, but I'm going to take it down. So then Eric said, I'm going to need you to sit down, Whitehead. And I want you to take this here notepad that I have. And I want you to write down all the people that you've had disagreements with in this past year. That's what I want you to do. It's discipline. So he kept putting in this about discipline. This is what Eric Adams is telling. So then Whitehead says, I'm considering stepping down from the ministry. I put all my savings into building it, and everyone is trying to tear me down. So he like had this long text basically telling him, you know, he ready to quit. All these people against him. They don't like him, all of that stuff. So Eric said, listen, it's not about Figueroa. It's about Lamar. You need emotional discipline. Y'all wasn't expecting that from Eric Adams, was y'all? He said, you need emotional discipline. So then on September 1st of 2016, Whitehead says, happy birthday. Thank you for being my friend and my mentor. He was like, thank you. So then on October 18, 2016, he texts Eric and he says, Tony Herbert posted BS about you. This the same dude that begged me to endorse him. So he bringing like some drama. It sounds like some Eric Adams. And Eric Adams responds, it's not worth it. Use your energy to build something. This is not worth it. December 13, 2016. So apparently, Whitehead must have done some flyer where he was gonna do an event or something, and he put that he wasn't a mayor then, so I guess he would have been borough president because this is like 2016 text. But he was like, he put Adams as a keynote speaker. Adams told him all flyers must go through my office. We got protocol. Take my name off that joint unless you go through the protocol. So then he said, how about I take keynote speaker off and say he'll give special words or special something, like some type of words. He was like, Eric was like, no. Fake. Go through the proper protocol. This ain't no gang. You about to be messing me up, player. He ain't say all that. That's Pam talking, but he did say no. He said, then on December 30th, it was something happened where I don't know, but Lamar was like, I understand, E, I'll do better. So then on March 13, 2017, he said, what's up, E? This is Lamar. This is my new number. Lock it in. There were crickets. So then on March 14th, he said, E, don't forget to lock my number in. July 31st, 2017. So this is what I gathered. There was these text exchanges of which I'm going to compile it, right? So apparently Whitehead must have been putting on a concert. So it must have been some guy named Dan. It's a lady named Ingrid, I guess, that worked in the office of the mayor. So Whitehead came with this idea to put together a concert. Something ended up happening. He brings Dan in, I guess, to meet Eric Adams. Something happens where Dan is the one that becomes kind of the face in the forefront of this concert and all of that. So he even went on a radio station to promote it. Boy, Whitehead was hotter than fish grease. He said, I busted my only to be not getting nothing. Everybody gets nothing off of this. Everyone's winning. Everyone's eating. But I'm not getting nothing. So he's like telling, complaining about it, right? To Eric Adams. This ninja got everyone eating on my connect. So basically, Dan wouldn't even know Eric Adams, I guess, if it wasn't for him. This is what he said. So Eric basically was like, dude, like the cost of the event far exceeds the money. The radio said, but for Dan, it wouldn't have been what it was or whatever. Whoever the Dan person is, he must probably does promotion. I don't know. Again, I can't put it in. I don't know who this person is. I'm just reading the text. So this is an assumption. But I guess the radio station was promoting it because of who this guy is. And that's what Eric was saying. And Whitehead was basically saying he got the same type relationships with the radio stations and all that or whatnot. So then Eric Adams, I guess, tells him, so I guess there was some type of gospel night prayer, and Whitehead was going to be the one to do the prayer. He was supposed to have words. So he kind of told Whitehead, you need to apologize to Dan, okay? Like, you need to get that right and all of that. So then he goes on, now I have to bend down to this ninja that crossed me. Seems like I'm always getting effed. I love you like a big brother. If you don't want me to do the prayer, then that's fine. So then on August 1st of 2017, Eric Adams says, you keep getting in the way of your own success. You need to start looking at yourself. Dan isn't effing you. You're effing yourself. You are at war with everyone, from your son to your ex-partner, and he's listing the people. Okay. So then Whitehead responds, so it's all my fault? My ex is nuts, and I can't do anything about that. I love my son, but she won't let me see him. So I'm giving you like snippets of this because this is longer stuff. I write good, but I ain't writing that doggone fast. So then Eric says, I'm going to tell you like my mentor taught me. You can only control you. The world is full of hoes. Imagine me responding to all the hoes like Figueroa. Like, where would I be if I just responded to everybody? So then Whitehead does this long thing where he's like, Eric, my heart is really hurting. I've had people do me wrong in the past, but this really hurts. Like, he ain't getting over this damn thing. He felt like he was double crossed, triple crossed, all of that. See, he said, I'll smooth everything over with Dan, but he don't give Dan up. Like, Dan is being talked about in all these text messages. He said, Eric, it's cool. I look like an a-hole. Everyone wants to use me to get to you. Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm stepping back. I'm just stepping back. So he basically tells the mayor he gonna step back and all of that stuff. Now, mind you, some of this stuff, I don't be seeing no responses from the mayor. But he is definitely like saying he's about to step back. He not about to do this no more. He feel like he getting played. He said, I'm tired of this. I'm not going to be collateral damage. Everyone gets contracts but me. He said he was used by Dan to get close to you and Ingrid, been promoting the show, people coming out, and I'm going to look crazy because I was the one telling people to come out and I'm not going to be there. I feel like I've been cast away. I text Ingrid and told her basically I guess he was gonna help her with some candidate named Anna, so he ain't gonna help Ingrid no more because he mad at Ingrid. On August 2nd, 2017, Eric said, Lamar, thanks for the text. Turn your pain into purpose. Then Eric said, then Lamar said, all praises to Dan. I put in the blood, sweat. I put it in. I have never been so humiliated in my life. Eric said, I'm not going back and forth with you. Then on November 26, 2017, he said, good morning, E. Thank you for loving me for who I am and not my past. I look up to you as a big brother, friend, and mentor. And then there was some image or whatever. Then on February 1st, he says, E, do you know the mayor of Yonkers? And then Eric's like, no, I just met him. Why? And so then he goes into he got partners that want to buy some buildings, and he put some images of the buildings or whatever, I guess, that he gives to show Eric what it is. So on April 30th, 2018, he says, thank you for always being there for me. And he has an image. And he's showing that he's about to run for, I guess, Brooklyn Borough president. So I don't know what had happened, but Eric Adams said, Lamor Whitehead, we need to get on the same page. I'm running for mayor and you're running for Brooklyn Borough. You are not my candidate. I am going for the best person that I think is for the position. So then Lamar says, I didn't drop your name. If someone told you that, it's a lie. People lying on me. I didn't say that you was endorsing me. So then he go in on Ingrid again. Poor Ingrid caught a whole lot of strays. Okay, I don't know who Ingrid is, but Ingrid was getting all the strays. Ingrid, he said, Ingrid, people in your office, they filed me. Ingrid called Channel 11 and stated some stuff. I'm tired of this. Her and Dan crossed me, and a plethora of other things. Like I told Nicole, I didn't say that Mayor Adams was endorsing me. So I don't know. It sounds like to me, and I'm just speculating. It sounded like to me that Channel 11 was like, so is the mayor going to endorse Lamor Whitehead? And y'all know how he been all over the paper, right? And Nicole was like, hell no. You know, that's what it sounded like to me. I don't know if that's what happened, but that's what the text sounded like to me. So then he talks about he texting them again on August 1st of 2018. He said he was trying to get some submission done, and he was like, hey Eric, Karen giving me a hard time. So he was trying to submit something. I don't recall, I missed what it was he was trying to submit, but apparently you're supposed to give them some time in order to process it. So Eric basically said it's a late submission. Like, she got hundreds of stuff that she does. A late submission, that's your fault, but it's typical of you. Like, that's what it was pretty much saying. Like, that's your fault. Like, why you all up on Karen's neck? So then Whitehead said, what do you mean folks like me? You know, because he said folks, he did say folks like you know, that turn in stuff late. You know, you kind of get what you get. It'd be different if she only had 30 submissions or whatever, but she got all these other submissions. So then she said, what you mean folks like me? People in your office treat me like it. Then that and that. He said, I'm tired of this ish. So then he says on August 15th, 2018, I'm going to come by the gospel concert tonight. Should I reach out for the passes? So Eric said, good morning, send the names. We'll put you on the VIP seating. He was like, we not doing backstage passes. We ain't doing meet and greets. You can be in the VIP section, because apparently the year before was a bunch of chaos. So then Whitehead sent the list. So he got Asia, he got the kids, he got, it looked like Asia's family maybe more than anything, because they all had her last name. So then he says, he goes in and he said, I'm over here. He must have been at the gate. I don't know if he could get in, but he texted him and said, I'm over here. He's like, to get the passes. She's sending me to someone else or somewhere else or whatever. He said, this BITCH Ingrid, this is a slap in my face. Whitehead said, he's sick of y'all over there at City Hall. Eric responded, well, Mayor Adams. I'm calling him Eric like he my homeboy. I'm like, he done called him E so much. Like, let me put a handle on this man's name. Mayor Adams said, I don't have time to deal with personality clashes. Lamar said, I ain't never do nothing to her. And so then later on, he asked Whitehead was like, I want to meet with you. And he was like, if you want to talk about this stuff, I'm not about to talk about that. Now, if you want to talk about something else, you know, I can put you on the calendar, but I ain't about to talk about this stuff. He said, no, I don't even care about Ingrid. I don't care about none of them. I just, well, you know, I want to know what I need to do, you know, for my Brooklyn, you know, Brooklyn Borough president. And so then he says, he was like, Whitehead, I told you need to raise money. Like, it's all about raising money. So then Whitehead sends a text saying he's invited Mayor Adams to a lot of events, and he hasn't went. And Mayor Adams was like, I'm not at your events because I'm at my own. I'm running for mayor. And he was like, and I'm raising money. I have a whole plan to raise money. I got to raise all these millions of dollars to be mayor. And he said, and quite frankly, you should be doing the same. So what are you doing to raise money for yourself? He was like, Whitehead was like, I'm doing a concert series. And he was saying he had raised a certain amount of money. I think it was 40,000, but he was saying he only a pastor and he do real estate. So most of his money go to being, come from the church. And that ain't that and that much. And then he said real estate, I guess, is up and down. So then he said, he was like, I've got, because of me, he said the concert series. So he mad again. He's still mad at Dan and them, right? So he said this whole concert series happened because of me, but I've got nothing. I do anything for you, E. Why Mayor Adams said, I don't do concerts. You brought that to me, to Dan. So it is what it is. I don't have time to deal with people who crossed me. So why you got time to deal? Like, why you putting so much energy in all these people is what he was saying. And that was the break. And we have more text tomorrow between Eric Adams and Whitehead. Again, he is innocent until proven guilty. I am just giving you guys all the information that I got. Okay. The man sits as an innocent man right now as we speak.
He's just innocent with a ton of allegations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me get some of these chats.
You gonna talk about the giveaway?
You know what? We're not doing that. I was over there walking over on Canal Street, so I was gonna get y'all one of them Gucci shirts, and I was gonna give it to one of my favorite intellects.
we might still do it though. We might still do it, so we might get one of Gucci's in honor of the bishop.
We're gonna get a New York Uchi for one of you guys. Thank you, Lynn Baker. I appreciate that. Baby. Speak less than we got her dying over there. Oh, not young and the restless, Angie. Oh my God. So this is what I have 6 hours a day. This is what I'm doing for you guys to give you guys the best content over here on YouTube. So make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. I want to thank Ronnie for giving away the memberships. And I hope you guys thanked him and all of that good stuff because your girl was over here trying to give you guys the information. Welcome, Jean, to the Intellects. Thank you so well. You said we appreciate you. Thank you for being here for 6 months. Shelly, thank you so much for becoming a member. And I appreciate all of these good cash apps over here. I'm going to buy me lunch tomorrow and a strong coffee. Because it sounds like tomorrow the defense will be putting their case on, which means perhaps I may see if Whitehead chooses to testify. We may hear from Mr. Bishop Whitehead tomorrow. If he chooses, it's up to him. He has the right not to. He does not have the burden. It is on the prosecutor to prove their case, and I have laid out all of the information that they have. This why I gotta get off of here. I ain't ate today.
Listen, if y'all want one of them Canal Street Uchis or Fendi's, y'all going to hit and send some money to that cash app.
Oh my God. Sonia, thank you so much. Annette, I appreciate you. Sharice and Bridget and Valerie and Santivia and Joyce and my girl Alice. Thank you. Alma, Faith Speaks, Joyce, April, LaVersa, Marquita out here balling. Thank you, Marquita. I appreciate that. And Terry, thank you so much. Thank you guys for covering some food and some gas. I appreciate, New York a little high, but you guys are worth every dime that we have spent. And baby, if it goes into next week, we might be here too. Just depends. Now, my client's starting to get a little aggravated. And I know some of you guys have called me over here on YouTube because I know you guys be talking about, I'm a subscriber on I'm going to get back to you right now. I'm just focused on Whitehead right now. So I'm gonna do a little bit of work because I got some things that's due tomorrow. And so I got to get it done tonight since I'll be in court all day. Miss Cinnamon, thank you so much. You said you are a New York intellect. Hey, you guys are more than welcome. So that's it. You know we got to hit the one time for one time.
You's a clown. That's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? You tough? Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh? Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you say on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.
All right, y'all have a good night. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Hit the like button on your way out if you haven't done so. And subscribe. Gotta go.